Thank you. Any other questions?
That's one question, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Just in terms of looking at the aerial that you provided, how did you go ahead and calculate the distances that you believe to be, this is 750 is what you indicate by
Those are the yellow are 750 feet.
how did you analyze that distance?
So that's from the edge of the well pad. And it's as accurate as you can get off of Google Earth.
Okay, so
could it be off 10 feet, 15 feet short? That it could be.
Okay, so this is sort of an overlay of
Yes.
an aerial from Google Maps.
Yes.
And then you put the plan, sort of superimpose the
Yes.
plan. And then it's just if I can finish my question, because it makes it tough for her as well. And then you went ahead and basically just used the map measurement in Google Maps.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Rich.
Thank you.
This is a,
Order to speak together. I know you're Ms. Smith, but just make sure you mind the court reporter.
okay, Sarah Smith, 1203 Nicholas Way. But this is actually from our president of our HOA. He can't be here. So can I just turn this in for you? I don't need to read it because a lot of it is repeat of what's been said, but there's a couple additional points in here. Can I just turn it in and for you to take into consideration?
Well, it's a hearsay document, and if you give a copy to Mr. Willis, before he gets to the board, for him to give him an opportunity to review it.
Sure.
We can still accept the hearsay document, but as I stated earlier, it can't be the basis of one of the board's the factual findings, because that is not here to be subject to cross-examination.
Yeah, I understand.
So hold on a second, we're going to give Mr. Willis some time to review.
We don't mind, Gary. Would it help if I read it? I'm the vice president of the Owner Association. This is written by our president.
That would not help if you read. But thank you for the offer.
Do I take that personally?
So I would say I have no objection with the understanding, yeah, it's a hearsay document, and there appears to be additional calculations that are included on the third page, which again, I don't believe were calculated by a traffic engineer for the purpose of evaluating chip generation.
All right, we'll note that for the record. Thank you, Mr. Willis. You can go ahead and do we have what's the name of this individual?
Joe Vetter, Vetter. She's the association president.
We'll mark this as better exhibit number 1.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We usually only do one bite of the apple, Mr. Cliff, but come on.
Thank you very much for your leniency. I just wanted to make one comment, and it was brought up by Mr. Timmons, and it's a very good comment. And I was part of it, so this is not hearsay. I was the guy that presented the Deer Run plan to the council 35 years ago or whatever. And he said, hey, that property was used once to get our density requirements for when we built the original Links Way. Why it was not part of your zoning records for maybe it is, and we just haven't looked at that. But I can tell you for certain that to get the density requirements that we needed to have Links Way meet, because those were quads, duplexes, and single families. But to meet the density requirements, we pledged the golf course land, which is the land that we're talking about, to meet the density requirements. I think he brings a valid point. How many times can you pledge the land to meet density requirements?
Would you have any documentation presented to support that position?
I'm sure you guys have records, right?
I mean,
I'm sure I have records, but do I have a tape recording of the day that I stood there and said, yes, that's okay with us to use the golf course?
my point to that is tonight is the night that you have the ability to present any testimony and documentary.
So my testimony is, as being part of that development, when we were told, hey, your density requirement for the 50 acres that we developed doesn't meet the requirements. And we used the golf course to stretch, basically say, hey, it's golf course. Nobody's building on this until today. You're welcome.
Anybody else before we, give Mr. Lewis and his team an opportunity for a very brief rebuttal since they're coming up on our meeting starting now, hopefully? Yes, sir.
I live 3.5 miles away.
So you'd be part of the public comment portion at the end. So that'll be after the rebuttal. Thank you for asking.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Tina Haichu, and I live at 1218 Nicholas Way.
That's all about this.
HITESHEW. Okay, I just wanted to reiterate, the issues that we have with the Duquesne Light grid system. We are constantly losing power and, because we are everybody here are in a state of, technology, you kind of get like, oh my God, how can I charge my phone? How can I do this? How can I do that? So we end up, getting different ways of charging, like solar power and things like that. But another issue is, my husband just brought that up to me, is that I believe Traditions has I think it's Rose Ridge off of 910, which they were talking about. It only has one way in and one way out. Why would they now need two ways? Is it because of the amount of homes there? I'm not sure, but I'm just bringing that up. If this goes through, can't they have another entrance and not use Links Way? Thank you.
Any other objectors who live nearby? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Anita Flaherty, PLA, HERTY.
I didn't get your first name,
Anita, ANITA.
last name.
Flaherty, FLAHERTY. And I live at 1131 Youngs Way. And I want to second everything that you heard here tonight. But the one thing I haven't heard is that right now in our community, we have one way out. And then we have a second section of our community, one way out. And if there's ever a natural disaster, whether it be from a fracking hose or a fire, if you can't get out that one entrance, you're done. You're dead. And even though we're not a technically over 55 community, most of the people there are over 55. And with the proposed community, they will be over 55. And while many of us are quite fit, not everyone is. My husband being one of them. And so if there's a fire, and I can't get out Links Way, he's dead, because he can't run across the field. So these are things I think that you need to consider when you're talking about doing community access.
Thank you, sir. All right, last call for objectors.
Nancy Stewart, STOEHR, on Nicholas Way, and I just want to give support to the testimony you've been given this evening by the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, last call. We're going to close the objector portion of the hearing. Mr. Woods, is there any statements, testimony, evidence you'd like to give as a brief rebuttal?
Yes, I'll keep it brief.
Thank you, sir.
So want to address, want to address, so Ryan Lotus again here on behalf of Traditions of America. Want to address a couple points just briefly that were discussed as part of some of the testimony that the objectors have raised. Initially, if I can call Kyle back up. Kyle, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the record, please, for the record.
Kyle Brown with Gateway Engineers.
And Kyle, you were here during the testimony that was presented by the objectors, is that correct?
Correct.
And one of the items that was, one item that was raised was with respect to the total trips generated associated with the proposed redevelopment of the site. Is that correct?
Correct.
And there was reference made that evaluation didn't take into consideration basically both points of access that would be associated with this development, but rather trip generation at Linksway. Is that right?
Correct.
And can you just briefly discuss for the board how the trip generation analysis was conducted?
So the trip generation analysis was looked at not by access, but as the development as a whole. So the entirety of the golf course, the entirety of the proposed development, absent of number of access points, just to looking at the trips that would be generated by each of the two as a whole.
And in terms of the proposed layout and the additional access, did you come to an opinion in terms of where you believe the majority of the trips to access the point would be coming either through Linksway or the new access point?
Given the layout of the site and the number of homes on the southern end of the property, I think it's reasonable to believe that a majority of the trips would actually use the proposed new access to Monier.
Okay, thank you. Couple other items. One of the questions was with respect to the proposed green space that would be associated with this redevelopment. As part of your requirements under the zoning ordinance, there would be a declaration filed that would require all of the green space that was proposed and presented in our plans that would remain in perpetuity as green space. So that would not be subject to future phasing, future development. The plan that we propose may have phasing, but it would be limited to what you're approving as part of this preliminary plan, which is the 163 single-family homes. So we would not be able to come in with a phase 4, phase 5 in the future to add additional units to this plan. And again, those would be prohibited based upon the declaration that your solicitor would have an opportunity to review, the board would have an opportunity to review, and that would be reported as part of any final approval that would be received with respect to this redevelopment. There's also discussion with respect to the existing green space being utilized as part of the Links development and utilized for density. This was an issue that was looked at prior to us even submitting our application to confirm that the property that is subject to this application is not included within that PRD. There were subdivision plans that were submitted. We did have correspondence that was submitted to the township that was again reviewed by your staff and I believe your solicitor to confirm that that property was not included in that calculation or part and parcel of that PRD. So sounds like that was done 35 years ago, but the point being is every document that's of record that's been reported at the Allegheny County Department of Real Estate, including but not limited to, I believe it was an initial plan, and there may have been 2 or 3 revisions to that plan, specifically identified that this property was not calculated as part of the density calculation or open space requirements for that prior plan. And I think one other item that I just wanted to talk about was the concern that was raised by one of the residents with respect to if there were an issue in the existing development, there's only one point of access, which is along Linksway. As part of our proposal, there will be access to Linksway to the new development, which will also in turn provide alternative access from the existing development through the new development onto Monier Road. So there actually would provide basically a better alternative or a better access plan to the site in that it would go from what currently is one point of access to 2 points of access. So with that, I don't believe I have anything else I want to address.
Thank you, Mr. Otis.
Thank you.
Unless the board has anything else, we'll move on to public comment before we close the hearing. All right, any taxpayers, residents who are outside or who are not choosing to be party objectors, now is the time for public comment. If you come up, you will be given 3 minutes to provide public comment. Yeah, sorry, that's different rules for different motivations.
Rich Pgh, CRNJARICH. I live at 94 Millerstown Collinsville Road. I need the board. Well, I'll put my glasses on first here. Could you raise your hand, the board, if you live on Links Way, Nicholas Way, Player Way, Palmer Way, Hogan Way, or Monier Road? Anybody?
Raise your hand.
Raise your hand, nobody? So nobody, so you're the lucky ones. But a bunch of residents behind me will not be so lucky. Their property values will go down when you accept this plan and course and close down the golf course. There's 128 properties in the golf community, 11 properties on Lanier Road, and 1 property in the middle of the golf course. Between hole 3 and 4. That's 140 properties that will be affected by this plan, and there may be more. The residents of the links at Deer Run purchased their homes because the course was the centerpiece of the development. Residents who purchased homes overlooking a quiet scenic green space will likely lose that amenity, replacing it with closer neighbors, rooftops, and fencing. The transformation from recreational land to residential adds more vehicles to roads. Residents may experience years of noise, dust, and heavy machinery traffic. That's probably going to be around 3 to 4 years and maybe 5 years. The residents will have to suffer from noise and safety impacts from construction. This will harm the character of the community and its quality of life, reduce wilderness, affect endangered species and air quality. I worked at Pittsburgh National when it was called Deer Run, and for 25 years, I met many fine residents and golfers. Last year, when the plan started, I was asked if the golf course was closing. I said, I don't know, but a lot of people say it will probably pass because West Deer passed the Rose Ridge plan. But there are 3 main things that is different from the Rose Ridge plan and the Pittsburgh National Plan. Number 1, the access to traditions at Rose Ridge is a major state maintained 24-foot wide road. It has 2 12-foot lanes with a shoulder. The Pittsburgh National access to it is a hilly, narrow, windy country road that has 18, 19, and 20-foot wide sections of the road with lanes that are 9, 9.5, and 10-foot wide and no shoulder, maintained by West Deer Township. The second, the golf course at Rose Ridge was closed many years ago. It was vacant land. The course was really bad. And a lot of people called it the ditch. When you and your buddies wanted to play golf, someone said, let's go play the ditch. And you know that meant Rose Ridge. There was 2 golf courses in West Deer. And when Rose Ridge closed, it left Pittsburgh National as the only one. Pittsburgh National Golf Course is the only golf course, 18 holes, in West Deer Township now. And is highly regarded as one of the best around. The course is a source of pride for our community, for West Deer Township as a whole. Golfers really from all over the Pittsburgh area come to West Deer to play the golf course. We have had many members of Pittsburgh's pro sports teams come and play at Pittsburgh National over the years. Number 3, Rose Ridge had no community residents in the middle of it, so no one lost their property values. At Pittsburgh National, there's a community in the middle of the course, and no one wants the course to close because of the development. If you let Traditions purchase the course, 140 residents will lose property values. It is a known fact that there are studies that say property values for homes and golf courses.
So I'm gonna need you to wrap it up here.
Okay. Okay. Golf courses often lead to immediate drops in home prices, with some reports indicating losses of $20 per square foot. Okay, the residents of the golf course community that links up at Deer Run and Lanier Road will be the most affected in the township if this plan is accepted. Finally, I think it was good for West Deer and Traditions for the purpose of the old Rose Ridge course to be purchased. It was vacant land for many years and needed to be improved. But there is no vacant land at Pittsburgh National for a new development, and it doesn't need to be improved. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Any other public comments? Okay, just a minor housekeeping item, you guys are cool, we've got records and stuff. Any ballpark timing, turning the transcripts around? I know you're speaking for somebody else, but,
I'll try my best.
you think like 10 days?
10 days.
Is that reasonable?
Yeah.
All right, so 3 weeks.
So you want to submit on basically before next meeting, right?
Right.
Yeah, I have no problem if that's.
I'll try to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you do the best, look, I understand, you can only do what you can do. I will get back to her.
Can I ask a sort of procedural question?
You need to come up here and identify yourself, just so we make it clear for the record, sure. Remember to state your name.
It's still Robert Chill. That's CHILPP.
and I still live at 1120 Links Way, which is a major intersection of people going into this development. Okay.
Your procedural questions.
My procedural question, there's actually two. Number one, you said there's 60 days that you'll be rendering a decision. Is that publicly done?
So the board will meet in executive session to deliberate and direct me as to how they want the decision written, and then the actual decision will be issued by public vote at the April meeting.
At the April meeting? Okay, thank you. That was number one. Number two, I noticed that the applicant was able to ask questions. When they made their presentation, we were not given the opportunity to ask questions. Can we ask questions?
Objectors would have had the ability to cross-examine, had someone wanted to ask a question.
Shoot, so. You can't let, I have one question.
Our job, unfortunately, we can't provide legal advice to residents as to how to best present their cases or how.
I'm not asking for legal advice. I'm asking for 2 minutes to answer the question.
Well, that part of the hearing is closed.
Okay.
Um,
I don't agree, but if that's the rule, that's.
I understand, you're opposed to that, or object to that, we'll make a note of the record. So, the way that this will work, again, if you wanted to do a written submission to the board to, again, make your legal arguments, you want to cite to the record, to the extent that you can, the facts and evidence, that are, I'm sorry, the testimony and evidence that's in the record, and try to explain in writing why you believe the board should support your position. I suspect the applicant will probably do this. All party objectors are invited to do this. The deadline to submit those will be 3 weeks from today. So that is, it would need to go to Ms. Lucas. Can I go to you?
Yes, please.
So that would be submitted via email to Amanda Lucas. Your email address?
It is A Lucas, Lukas, so Lucas with a K, at westdeertownship.com. And you can always just contact the office and I'd be happy to just send it to you.
Thank you, Ms. Lucas. And then 3 weeks looks like it's getting us to March 11th. And that would be by 5 p.m. on March 11th. You need to submit any kind of proposed findings or written submission. Keep in mind, you cannot submit new evidence, no new documents, no new testimony. You essentially have to take what's been discussed and presented at these hearings over this month and last month, and the board can't consider anything outside of that. Mr. Mitch.
How do we get a hold of what they submit? Will be online?
So the evidence, the exhibits will be made available at the township building. Anything that was submitted, that includes the objective exhibits that were presented today.